Hello, I'm Paul. I'm the Education Lead for the Ministry of Eco-Education, and I'm just going to talk you through one of the schemes of work from the food topic. This one is called Should We All Go Vegan? And the purpose of this one is for students to explore that word veganism or vegan, because it's obviously something that they're going to be, or they're introduced to and they will have heard of. And the idea is to explore its definition, what it means, and their kind of ethos and ideas around it, and then to move beyond that and think about where we get our food. So here, let me share with you the scheme of work. Here it is. Now, it's laid out just like all the others. What we've got is the title here, Should We All Go Vegan? And then it's got two key texts linked to it, two books. And the idea of these are that they're slightly light-hearted. One's about a vegetarian T-Rex and the other one's about a rescue hen. It's just a way in to explore some of these ideas. And you can choose to use these books how you like. It might be that you encourage some of the students to read them. It might be that you read the book to them. It might be that you use extracts from it whilst during the series of lessons. But just like all the other lessons as well, this is a series of 8 lessons that you can choose to adapt, so you can make it longer or shorter. You can pick bits out that you think are appropriate or not, so it's definitely flexible for you to tailor. And this one is focused around futures, so that the idea is to get students to focus on where their food will come from in the future and how they might eat. It's targeted towards Key Stage 2, but again, it's flexible in that you can adapt it for a younger audience. And then it's got links here with the national curriculum around English and composition. It's got bits in there about numbers, there's a fractions and measurement, and then there's some elements of science. And then there's also links to other aspects of the national curriculum, including some geography, cooking and nutrition from the DT, and a bit of PSHE. And then what we've got are these 4 bullet points, and these summarise the ideas that we want to communicate over this series of lessons. So ideas around what a vegan diet is, thinking that veganism goes beyond food, why people choose to, and then thinking about industrial farming and the impact that has on the planet. I'm just going to talk you through the 8 lessons. Now, each lesson has its own inquiry question. The first one is, what does it mean to be a vegan? And the suggestion here is to start with looking at a variety of foods, thinking about how you might sort them. So you can either do that physically with some fruit and veg, or it might be that you use cards to represent that. And then there's a video here exploring Forest Green Rovers and how many of the players are vegan and exploring what that means for them. And then the next part of it is thinking about maybe defining what it means to be a vegan, but also in comparison to other diets. So thinking, how can we define these things? And there's a few possible sources here from the NHS, from Vegan Society. And then there's another activity here thinking about collecting a food journal, so starting the students on that journey of thinking about what they eat, or thinking just in terms of a normal day, and then that can lead to discussion. Now, there's a further opportunity here, which is a suggestion of carrying out a survey of what everyone eats at the school. And so you could do that paper-based, and you can get the students out just with a clipboard and surveying children and staff. Or it might be that you choose to do something for the whole school online, and it could be a survey that you send out to everyone, including parents. Now, the second lesson is exploring the reasons why are people vegans, and there's a starter activity here, which is a Mission Explore activity, which is a sort of fun and quirky look at different types of food. And then there's some cards here that can be used as a stimulus to create some discussion, or you could get students to note down and collect these ideas, and then they could think about ranking them and deciding which reason they think is most or least important. And then the challenge here, the further opportunity, is go away and eat the rainbow, so looking at your fruit and veg and getting a full spectrum of the colours. Now, the third lesson is thinking into the future. What if the world became vegan? What would it mean? And there's a fun Maddie Moat video there that provokes ideas, and you could either get students to make notes, or you could collect ideas and thoughts on a board, or it could lead into discussion and you could pause it. And again, there's another video there, what if the world went vegan, from the BBC, which again leads to discussion and debate, and you can explore the ideas deeper that are raised by those videos. Number 4 is a practical lesson, and the idea is to get the students to have a go at some cooking. Again, this might be something you already do, but the focus for this is thinking about vegan and vegetarian recipes. So there's some suggestions there of where they could source some recipes. They might then go away and get the ingredients and then have a go at cooking it. And whilst they're cooking, you can talk about the differences between cooking just vegetables, what that means. There's a Ready Steady Cook video there based around vegan recipes that's a sort of introduction that can set the scene for the activity. And then you could, as a further opportunity, suggest that the students go away and have a go cooking something for their family. So there's another activity there. Now, lesson 5 is thinking about space, so it's the sort of geography of it. How much space do we give over to animals? There's a quite interesting graphic from Our World in Data looking at how much space is used for agriculture. And it's quite complex, so you might talk it through with students, explore what it means, and you can talk about it as a way of presenting data. And is it good or bad, and what are the differences compared to other ways of presenting data? So there's lots of discussion and ideas and activities that you could do off the back of that. There's a really good video called The UK in 100 Seconds from Daniel Raven Ellison, which again is a sort of similar idea, but exploring for the UK what it means. And it's a really interesting presentation where he walks through the landscape, and it turns it into a sort of living graph, into a really vivid representation of the data and statistics. And then what you want to do is take the students outside, and you can get them to think about using the landscape around them and the materials they can find outside. How can they then present some of the statistics and numbers in a creative and interesting way? And then we can move on to 6, which is exploring the concept of honey. And lots of the students might not have explored the concept of actually, is it right to eat honey or not? And there's some suggested articles there that you could snip bits from, and the students could explore, or they could do a group activity where they're reading elements of it or engaging with, or it could be a kind of comprehension activity. And again, there's some material from the Vegan Society there to explore that in more detail and to think about bees in a slightly different way and honey, and explore that. And then the further activity there is maybe a suggestion of going bee spotting and seeing which different types of bees you could find, or students could find. Number 7 is thinking about the future of meat. There's a Maddie Moat video which introduces some of these ideas, and again, you might use that as a stimulus for a bit of discussion. They could make some notes, or they could think about actually how valid are some of the ideas that are raised here, and they could do some further research to explore them. And then there's a really interesting trailer for a video called The End of Meat, and it uses some particularly emotive techniques. So there's an opportunity there to discuss and explore the ways that the information is presented and to talk about its effectiveness, and then to go again deeper into those sorts of ideas and explore the students' reaction to it. This last lesson then is where the outcome or the output kind of comes into it. And this whole sequence, the outcome is a public speaking competition. So the idea is the students script some a presentation, a speech that they could either use in a competition. So you could host your own competition within the school or within the year group or within the class. But there's some interesting materials here to help you from the English, I think that's the English Schools Union. It's a sort of materials there to host public speaking competition and prepare for that. So you can get them to write a script, think about the wording of what they use, and the whole purpose is to use information that they've explored over the previous lessons. Think about how they can then communicate that and persuade an audience. And then they could present that, they could start themselves just individually, and then they could expand and have an audience, and they can build their confidence that way. I think that's all of them. So I hope you have fun with those lessons, and definitely feel free to add comments, and if you've got any great ideas that you think should be in it, please add them in too, and you can comment on the resources. So thank you so much.